Hi, and welcome to another episode of Rick's Music Collection. This is episode 6. My name is Rick Olivares, and I'm a journalist and also a massive music fan. And in this series of videos that I've been doing so far, I've been showing stuff from my collection, but it just won't be records, CDs, cassettes, and other stuff. I'll be showing in future videos posters, magazines, zines, and other collectibles in the realm of music, as well as certain topics that are pertinent to the scene. And since it is Saturday, April 23, I thought I might do my Record Store Day 2023 episode. Unfortunately, I live in the Philippines and we do not get firsthand any of the releases on Record Store Day. We have to wait for what is available. Either that or you buy it off Discogs. And it's usually double when you buy it over here, and that really sucks. On a few occasions, I've been able to go abroad and buy some RSD releases. Um, am I able to get what I want all the time? Generally, I'm able to get what I want. There's some records that I want that I'm not able to get, but I'm fine. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm not going to spend a lot of money. And actually, my attitudes towards Record Store Day have changed in the last few years, and I'll explain why as we go along. So let's start off with um, the records that I have in my collection. It's not much, but Okay. I'm gonna start off with this record from John Coltrane. It's a 7-inch. Sorry, it's a 10-inch record. Uh, the Roulette series, and I love the old jazz music from the 30s, the 40s, up to the 60s, and even early 70s. I love big band jazz. I love hard bop, free jazz, the old stuff. Coltrane, Davis, Mingus, all those guys. I absolutely love it. This record I was able to get in Singapore, and I was just happy to be able to find this and get it. I do listen to jazz at least once a week or once every 2 weeks. I play them, and I find it really relaxing. When I play music by Coltrane, Davis, Mingus, Thelonious Monk, and all that, I just sit down and just take it in. I think it's something that you have to pay attention to and listen to. You don't do something while you're listening to it because you're going to miss a lot of what you're trying to communicate to the music. The next one is a David Bowie record. This is actually the third David Bowie record I've ever had in my entire life. I did get Scary Monsters and Let's Dance back in the 80s. And I can't say I'm a huge Bowie fan. He's okay. It's just that I've never really collected a lot of his records. But this one represents my getting back into rediscovering David Bowie. Um, got this in Hong Kong. Yes, Hong Kong. And I got this record. Okay. The Black Crows. If you notice, all my records are in plastic there. It's not the resealable one because I'm not a fan of the resealable. So every time you open the resealable bag, it sort of destroys messes up the integrity of the plastic. And I know that if it's the open type, dust gets in. But I make sure that if you notice, look at this. I got some cover over here, and then there's an extra cover there to protect the dust from coming in. But so I take good care of myself. The Black Crows. I've been a fan of theirs since the 1990s when they first came out, and I try to get a lot of their stuff because I'm a big fan of the band, and I'm so happy they're still performing to this day. More from the Black Rose, Lions, we released, and we had to get it because back then I was just getting the Black Rose on compact disc. EMX Bandits, C86, and this, believe it or not, is a band that I never got back in the day. Never got them, never got their stuff. And it's not that I didn't like them, it's just because it wasn't available. It was hard to get them. Later on, when there were CDs, it was much easier to get them, but I didn't. The record store they released from a couple of years ago represents that shift and that change. Really good record. Broken Social Scene. Let's Try the After. This is a compilation of a couple of EPs, and been a fan of this Canadian collective since 2003 when I first heard You Forgotten People. I remember I pulled it off the indie racks on a whim because I liked the cover. It gave me this vibe of the Smiths and all that. So I got it and I played it, and I was just so amazed at the music. I loved it. I began looking out for past releases from the band, and I did get to see them in the US as well as in Singapore. I was able to get some pictures with the band members, Kevin, and the others. Um, Lisa, you know, um, and I was able to get my CD signed. You know, so this one's really good. They always make good music. I absolutely love them. The Cure, 17 Seconds. It's a picture disc. When I first heard The Cure back, I think it was 1979, and since sixth grade, I was in 1980, and there was RSO had a soundtrack called Times Square, and it featured a lot of those punk and new wave bands of that era. And The Cure was there, the song Grinding Halt, and I still have that soundtrack. I still have it, and that was my introduction to The Cure. And the first ever Cure record that they released here in Manila was Concert, and I love how deep, brooding, and goth it sounded. So that was The Cure that I really love. It's not the grinding halt. It sounds so new wave-ish. I mean, it's okay, but I prefer the Cure when they're in their moody and dreary best. That heavy, heavy sound. That's why for a while all my records were of The Cure were the live ones. I didn't want the new wave-ish sounding stuff. I mean, it's okay, but I don't really play it that much. But so I just have the live albums of The Cure on vinyl. But when they started putting them out and it was available, I said, okay, let me get it. So I did get this. And it's okay. It's not a bad album. Now, this one, The Blood Flowers, this came out either 2003 or 2004. And it's the third part of this trilogy that started with Pornography, then Disintegration. When this came out, they went on tour to support this album. It was the Curiosa tour, and that's where I first saw Interpol. Interpol just came out, and they were opening for them. It was at Randall's Island in New York, and I was just really amazed. I was just so happy, one, that it's Interpol, number two, it's Secure. And I had bought them The Blood Flowers, the CD. And I'm kicking myself for not getting the record back then. I didn't get the record. And when I went back into vinyl around 2014, slowly, but it was by 2016 that I started buying more records again. Because as I said in earlier episodes, by 1992, I shifted mostly to compact discs. I stopped buying cassettes. Vinyl once in a while I would, but it's by 2015-16 that I started buying more records in earnest. And I saw this on the racks, not the picture disc. This is the artist re-release, obviously. Just the regular record. I saw it at Astrovision in Megamall. And I was stunned to see it there. And I couldn't afford it because it was priced like $4,000. And I said I'll come back and get it. My mistake was it took me more than 2 weeks to come back. When I returned, it wasn't there, and I'm kicking myself for not getting it because that was the original pressing of Blood Flowers, and it was only repressed for Record Store. Deftones covers. Big fan of this new metal band, and in this album they do stuff like Drive from the Cars, No Ordinary Love from Sade, Sleepwalk from Ultravox, Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want from Smiths, and interesting set of covers for one of my favorite metal bands. And on the topic of favorite bands, one of my all-time favorite bands that I play all the time is Echo the Bunnymen. Among the new wave bands, they were, I'd say, my top five. Top five. When this first came out in 2001, it was on compact disc, and I did get this on compact disc, and I still have that compact disc. This came out obviously on vinyl for the first time during last year's Record Store Day, and I did get it. And it's sad, by the time that I recorded this, Ian McCulloch's voice wasn't the same as before, but before he had such a smooth and strong voice, and now it's kind of cool when he sings, kind of laid back. Echo Smith, okay. When this came out, this is the Acoustic Dreams EP. There was a little buzz about Echo Smith. If you like bands like Paramore, you should try out Echo Smith. And the thing is, I don't have any Paramore record. I don't. I'm not saying they suck. It's just that I don't have them in my collection. It's just not my thing. But so, which is strange, which is why I got this. And when I got this, I was just looking for something to buy, and this is available. And I picked it up. I got this at this record store in Ali Mall. It's still there, and it's not well curated. They're kind of expensive, and this one cost a bit. And I was upset considering it's an EP. But like I said, RSD releases that are sold here in Manila are very expensive. Double, triple the price when they come out to the United States as well as in the UK. So that was one of those releases that I got because it's an RSD thing. It was new to me. I was trying it out. If I were to get it today, probably wouldn't get it. But I'm not. It's okay. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just really not my thing. This is my thing. Ella Fitzgerald at Zardy's. This is her first ever live recording, but it was in the can, and they only rediscovered it a couple of years ago, and they put it out for Record Store Day. And there are two versions of this. There's the second one that has a different set list, but this is the first one, the first live recording, but not put on vinyl. Okay, I think this is like. As it says here, released for the first time ever, the incomparable Ella Fitzgerald in the first live recordings of Verve Records. There you go, let's just be very precise. Singing and swinging in front of an animated, adoring crowd at Zardy's Jazzland on Hollywood Boulevard. So, the first live recordings of Verve Records. Happy to have this. It's never released before. Okay, The Essence. We talked about The Cure, and this Dutch band is heavily influenced by The Cure. In fact, if you listen to them, they do sound like The Cure. And if you don't know any better, you'd say that it's music from The Cure. Unlike The Cure, you could hear the little echoes of Joy Division in them, even Echo and the Bunnymen in them, and they're very, very good. I discovered The Essence while browsing at Tower Records in Makati back in the 90s, and in the indie rack it had this band, The Essence, and I was even told that they were a German band, but I later understood that they were a Dutch band. And I picked up the CD, and it had a song called The Cat, which became one of my favorite songs. But imagine, it was like more than a decade after it had come out, and I was rediscovering them. So I thought they were a 90s band. It turns out that they were an 80s band. So this is a re-release of an old record of theirs. Fleetwood Mac. This is the alternate rumors. These contains different versions or demos of the songs that made it into the best-selling album. And normally I'm not a fan of getting stuff that are demos because there's a reason why they were rejected. But That doesn't mean that they're terrible versions. They could be good versions. Since I'm a huge fan of Fleetwood Mac and I love Rumors, I thought that I should try this, and I'm happy that I did. When I talked about bands that I said about Echo Smith, I'm not really a big fan of them. Another band that I'm not really a fan of, but they're okay, is Green Day. And believe it or not, I only got Dookie this year. Yes, this year. I've had it. I did get the compact disc back in 1993, 94. I got it. Not as soon as it came out. I got it about months after. And it's all right. The only thing I like is when I come around. So, but in their succeeding releases, I wasn't really a fan. Not that a huge fan, but uh, when the Santana Woodstock record came out on for Record Store Day, and that was a mind blowing performance. Whether you were there at Woodstock or you saw it on video, it was incredible. And I said I gotta get it. So that was my thought when I saw this record, Green Day Live Woodstock 1994, and I felt, okay, let me give this a try. Because it was a great performance. I did see Woodstock 1994, so I got this, and because I enjoyed this, I finally picked up the record of Dookie. Gary Hall of the Specials, the Fun Boy 3, his debut solo album, Home. And this is just so different from his music with the Specials and Fun Boy 3. And I love it. I'm not a fan of Fun Boy 3. They're okay. I remember the first single I got from the Fun Boy 3 was The Alibi. And that was just too weird for me. So different from the Specials. Maybe because the beats were African. I'm not saying African music is terrible. It's just I did not appreciate it at the time. So if I listen to it now, it's all right. But this was such a huge departure from what he was doing. It's absolutely brilliant. Speaking of 10 inchers, here's one from The Strokes' Albert Hammond Jr. He's the guitarist of the band. And his solo album is called Francis Trouble, but the Record Store Day release is called Etchings from Francis Trouble. And it's one of the first Record Store Day releases that I got. I wasn't really big on Record Store Day at first. I mean, I thought it was a gimmick, but they started putting out some really interesting stuff, and I decided to get into it. But my attitude towards Record Store Day has greatly changed. That's when I started seeing, I thought it was just exclusive. It might be colored or whatever, but, look, the music industry is a money-making machine, so they need to make money. So I was getting some stuff, and they were expensive to begin with. And then months after, they put out the regular version that is 1/3 of the cost, maybe even a lot less than that. And I told myself, I'm not going to get these expensive stuff anymore. They're just going to put it out. I'll wait for it. In the event that they don't put it out, I'm okay. I'm not going to lose sleep. My attitude towards buying records has greatly changed in the last few years. Before I felt like a kid again. Get this, get that. But now I'm more judicious, more discriminating in what I buy. And Record Store Day, I don't jump up and down. I'm not overly excited about certain things anymore. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, it's fine. If it's expensive, I ain't getting it. Linkin Park, one more light live. This is one example. And this is the RSC release, and then later on they put out the regular copy. I did get this too expensive. Why this is special? Well, behind the hype sticker is I took off the plastic, and I got Mike Shinoda to sign this record. Incredible, right? I got him to sign it when he went over here to Manila. So you're going to see some of that, the overlapping lines there. That's his autograph. So as I said, I took off the plastic. Kenny Loggins at the movies. This is from last year's Record Store Day. And yeah, this is stuff like Footloose, Danger Zone from Top Gun. I'm Alright from Footloose. I know, Caddyshack, yeah. So, yeah, it's okay. Kenny Loggins. Came out several years ago, Metallica the Garage EP. And, this is actually the first Metallica record that I ever had. First, because I have their stuff on compact disc, but this is my first on vinyl. And I don't have too many Metallica records in vinyl. It's alright because I have them on compact disc anyway. I know that they came out in the 80s, and usually stuff that I bought in the 80s are in vinyl, but I didn't really get them because I was just so into new wave at the time. Uh, I had ditched metal when new wave became very popular. I was a metal kid growing up, and it's only back in the late 1990s when metal made a huge comeback behind new and rap metal that started buying Metallica. The anniversary release of Modern English's I'm Not With You. I do have the original single of this one, and I got this. As I said, I love the old time jazz, Thelonious Monk, Palo Alto, the Custodian's Mix. It turned out that while he was performing, uh, somebody recorded it and had kept the recording of this particular show, and it was unearthed only recently. It's a great, great record. I absolutely love this. Pale Saints. Uh, when I used to work for Universal Records, the company had secured the license from 4AD Records, and we put out 2 or 3 albums of the Pale Saints locally. It was pressed here locally, and I still have those as well as the UK presses of the compact discs. And uh, I don't really have their stuff in vinyl because I'm okay with them on compact disc. But this one I did get because I never had this copy before. It's putting together some stuff that were not out on vinyl. So there, we got this. So it's Mrs. Dolphin. That's what they call this EP. Pearl Jam, MTV Unplugged. Um, Pearl Jam is one of my favorite bands, but I'm not like massive collectors like Robert Tuazo who gets everything. And I wish I did. I wish I had the money to get all that stuff, but it's all right. But Pearl Jam, they're such a great live band. They make great music, and I just have the regular stuff. Pink Floyd, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, one of the first RSD stuff that I ever got. This is a mono mix, and it comes in a cardboard case. The original cover, it's inside, but this is it looks great, very psychedelic, and it comes with a poster of the cover. It's in mono. The Police Live, Volume 2 in Atlanta. This came out last year. And there were 2 versions. There's the Volume 1. I don't remember where it was, but this is the one that I wanted to get. Okay, and I did get this. When I was in England in 2014, I went to this shop in Camden, this vinyl shop, and I had not gotten back into vinyl. I was certainly interested. I had a few records that I bought already, and I heard them playing this music by Asha Puthli, and I thought she was a black singer. I was surprised to find out she's actually Indian, and it was the original pressing that they were playing. And I think they were selling it at the time for 25 quid or 30 quid, something around that amount. I couldn't afford to buy it except that I wanted to buy other stuff. And when this became available in Record Store Day last year, I picked it up. She's got a great voice, and you wouldn't think she's Indian. This is Egyptian jazz from Salaragab. Okay? Egypt struck. This takes some getting used to. This is jazz music that you just sit down, you don't do anything, you immerse yourself in it. Because it's different. I mean, it's Egypt. They weave in their style. It's totally different from American jazz. If you grew up on American jazz, this one is an acquired taste. But I enjoy it. In the last 15, 20 years, if I had always listened to jazz, but my musical horizons have greatly expanded in the last 20 plus years. Rage Against the Machine, live in rare, first time in vinyl. I'm a huge fan of this band. I have all their stuff in compact disc and on vinyl as well. More Rage. This is the Democratic National Convention of the year 2000. It's also the first time it's available on vinyl. Got it. Another release. This is from last year from Rage Against the Machine, The Battle of Mexico City. This came out on DVD and VCD. I do have the VCD of this one. VCD. That dates this album, right? So this is the first time in vinyl and I got it. Really great band. They sound the same in the studio as well as in live, and I can appreciate a band like that because there are a lot of bands that when the music that they make on vinyl, when they perform live, it's different, and you feel something really lacking sometimes. But not Rage Against the Machine, man. They're solid. They're tight. Ramones. This is what they call the Sundragon sessions, and these are the original mixes from their Leave Home sessions. As a Ramones fan, you gotta have it. It's okay. It's not bad. Not bad. I mean, if this is the version that came out, I'm okay with it. But I have the original copy of Leave Home, so it's just a great companion. I consider it like alternate rumors to have that. Rolling Stones, their Satanic Majesty's Request came out a few years ago. This was the Stones when they were in their psychedelic phase. So they were also inspired by what the Beatles were doing at the time. And this is just a great psychedelic album. I'm a fan of the Rolling Stones. I mentioned earlier Santana Woodstock. This is that record. One of my favorite records, one that I play a lot, heavily. When Santana first came out, how could you not like them? I was a kid. I was hearing their music on the radio, Evil Ways, Black Magic Woman, Oye Como Va. Yeah, they played it a lot on the radio. You would hear it in jeepneys. You would hear it in jukeboxes. But it was only, I think, when the song "And You Know That I Love You" came out with Alex Ligertwood on vocals, 1979, 1980. That year represents a huge musical awakening for me. I was getting into punk, into new wave, and because of American Top 40, I was aware of more music. And You Know That I Love You from the album Marathon, if I'm not mistaken, became a hit. And that's when I said, well, they sound different from their psychedelic era. But uh, so I got it. The album Marathon. And over the years, I started getting more Santana albums, but I really dig the old stuff. I'm not saying I don't like the new stuff. I like all of it. But the old music, the first few albums, Caravans, uh, all of that, Abracas, the first album, and this one, the live performance in Woodstock, they represent a certain time when I was just awake, becoming awake to all this great music around me. I heard my Tito Sonny Gonzalez when our family would visit them in Parañaque. He would play that. Because Tito Sonny was a hippie. He'd play a lot of this stuff. Oh man, that was just great. Listening to those records over there. Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien. This is the RSD release from last year or the other year. And Silver Surfer, who adorned the original cover of this, is no longer here because of a dispute with Marvel. But I got it anyway. It's a 2-record set. The second set is minus the guitar performance of Satriani, so you can play along with it. I do have the original record, and it's nice to have this one as well. Psy, Japanese hardcore. The Sisters of Mercy, the BBC Sessions, one of my favorite goth bands. The Brian Setzer Orchestra live. I'm a massive fan of Brian Setzer since his days with the Stray Cats, all the way to when he put up the Brian Setzer Orchestra. Anything that Brian Setzer puts out, I get. And I love the current reunion of the Stray Cats. I have their live album and their latest album. Slow Dive is one of my favorite bands of all time. I just love them. Shoegaze music, really good stuff. Smashing Pumpkins, Shiny and Oh So Bright. The return of James Iha to the Pumpkins, and this is the result. Obviously, Jimmy Chamberlain is there, and but minus the RC. So this is a really good record. The first, I thought that Oceania was my favorite when the RC and Iha left, and that was really good. That was something totally different, very alternative, with a little proggy at times. This one reminds you of classic Pumpkins, but the succeeding ones, not too crazy about it. 10-inch of the Specials. Okay. Gangsters. Came out from last year. And I love the Specials. Stars, this Canadian band affiliated with Broken Social Scene. Sad Robots EP. This came out about 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Stillwater, the fictional band from the film Almost Famous. And this contains songs from Ann Wilson and Peter Frampton. A perfect companion to the soundtrack of Almost Famous. Stoner rock band The Sword in The Age of Winters. First time on vinyl, and it's embossed. I love this band. They're like Mastodon. No, they're not. They don't sound like Mastodon, but like Mastodon, they like to delve into literature and all this mythological stuff. And this is a terrific record, Age of Winters. One of my favorite bands in the 80s, as I said, will fall into my top 5 is Tears for Fears. This was when they were touring for songs from The Big Share, live at Massey Hall, Toronto, Canada, 1985. A really, really good record. Trojan Records, Rude Boy Rumble, 12 classics, The Slickers, Upsetters, Desmond Decker, and the Aces. Just a lot of good stuff over here. It's a very good combination. Some U2 records. I don't have too much from Record Store Day. 11 O'Clock TikTok. When I first heard this, it was from Live at Red Rocks. Your Live at Red Rocks album. And it's nice to have this for the first time. Fire, picture disc. That came out 2 years ago. And Gloria, that came out last year. 40th anniversary edition of Gloria. And I'm a big U2 fan. White Snake picture disc. Got this at Roxy Music House in Singapore. I got this at the same time I got the Coltrane Roulette album. This are two-tone 40th anniversary edition. It's a half-speed master a half-speed master sound terrific. I do have the original that came out in blue. We do have that, and I still have it. We'll see it when I go to my Jamaican music collection. Nice to have this half-speed master. Some soundtracks. This is a 90s soundtrack, Basketball Diaries. It's okay. This is a good album. And this is my introduction to British ska that got me looking at Jamaican music. 40th anniversary edition from a couple of years ago in half-speed master. I do have the US, British, and Japanese pressing. When this first came out in Manila, obviously it was pressed by Octo Arts, and I did buy it, and I really don't know what became of it. If my mom threw it out, I have no idea. It's I wish I still have it. I'm searching for a Philippine copy. If anyone can find me one, I'm willing to buy it. Louis Armstrong, Disney songs, The Satchmo Way. This is a lovely, lovely record. I'm a big fan of Louis Armstrong. Ghost World, very eclectic, and that's a young Scarlett Johansson. I have the comic book of this one, but the music is just great. World music stuff. Okay, just a few more records. I Am Sam, first time in vinyl. Great, it's a great movie, and the versions of Beatles songs here are just really fantastic. Now, this is one record that when it came out, it was announced for Record Store Day. I wanted to have it. I needed to get it. So I got it. Only to find out that they would come out with another version of this one that is a lot cheaper, and it's not Record Store Day. And that caused me to be really, really upset, you know. And the same with this one, Lost in Translation. I paid a lot of money for this one, and only to see it come out months later as a regular edition. So I told myself, I'm not going to buy any of this expensive stuff anymore. I'll just wait for the regular edition. The Virgin Suicides, both Lost in Translation and this one are from Sofia Coppola. And she's an underrated director, writer, and she's got great music taste. I love her music buds and all that. You know? So anything that she does, I'm going to watch and read and buy. The last in my RSD collection for 10 and 12-inch records, because I have 7-inchers and I even have cassettes. I'm going to show that to you in another episode of Rick's Music Collection. But the last one that I have for now is Stone Free, tribute to Jimi Hendrix. When this first came out, this is the first of those tribute albums that came out, and a lot of other tribute albums would come out later on, but this, to my recollection, is the first one. And this is an outstanding record, and I'm just happy to have it. Two record set, but only on 3 sides. The fourth one is an etching and all that. So there. Those are my Record Store Day 10 and 12-inch records, and I'm just very happy with this collection. I'm more judicious now when I'm buying my stuff. I don't just get anything. And there. So I'm happy to share them with you. And, you know, behind everyone, there are stories there. And when I go into the individual bands like Tears for Fears later on, I'll be talking about them at great length. But here, because I'm running through my collection, so I don't get to spend too much time talking about them. We'll do that in future episodes. Right? So I hope you enjoyed the 6th episode of Rick's Music Collection, my Record Store Day collection, and 12 inches and 10 inches. So if you have any comments, please leave them below. If there are any topics that you want to discuss, we'll get to them very soon. Bye, everyone. Stay safe.